Welcome back to another 2v2. I think I'm just putting up all of these 2v2s at the moment, to be honest, and I'll put up some 1v1s later on. But yeah, as per usual, I'm Terran. I'm with a Protoss, and it looks like we're with against a Terran and Zerg. This one I thought was really interesting because both Terran and Zerg played really differently. Looking back at it, I played awful at some bits, but we'll see as that goes forward. So a bit of foreshadowing there. And sometimes it's so difficult. You look back and you see SCVs doing nothing, and I think to myself, how did I not notice that at the time? But you know, it is what it is. That's why I'm looking back at some of this stuff now. Hopefully, it'll make me a bit better later on, and won't be a bronze league, but we'll see. I've got to be in silver league by now. Hopefully, if I'm not, I'll be quite devastated. But as you can see here, the Zerg went for really early gold, which is really interesting. I thought, okay, when I rewatched this, I thought they're going to be really greedy. And not much happens at this point. There are actually a few points where I'll speed up the video, but we're going with kind of like typical build for both Terran and Protoss. I think I was a bit slow actually overall in this one, and like I said, there's definitely a few things that I think I wouldn't do that again. But I've got my siege tank up. My Protoss is building his stuff up as well. His second base is going. Zerg's now taking their third, which I think is about right. They really saturated their gold really early, which isn't a bad idea. I think it's about 40, I can't remember if 30 or 40% boost, but they've got that up. The Terran are quite actually greedy in this one. I feel like the Terran must have been a slightly better player than their Zerg counterpart. Again, I'm not judging. My Protoss teammate was much better than I. But we see the gold, and as you can see here, the Protoss like moving, and we both realised quite early on that we need to get rid of this, quite quickly, otherwise it's going to become really difficult. Interestingly, it's got Mutisk. I've got a feeling he wanted to do maybe like a 2, his build is there, but maybe more of like a 2/3 base and just go hard Mutas. Mutas always get me. I need to get much better with them. But as you can see here, like I do eventually come up. We get our siege tanks in. My Marines are kind of like helping with that anti-air. Although I think they do get picked off quite quickly. Yeah, they're getting taken apart now. Realise my siege tanks are far too far back, and we're moving a little bit better. These siege tanks end up doing very well. They're going to get a lot of kills. Although as I look back, I realise I think the siege tanks are probably doing as much damage to my ally as they are to my opponent at some of these. It's really quite bad. Something that I need to be aware of in the future for sure. I guess next time if I was playing someone, I'd say, okay, blink back, kind of thing, to make sure you're not taking too much damage. But that was a nice little fight. You know, these mutas are taken out, and we can go back to just kind of like sieging the goal, which is quite nice. He really leans into Zerglings. Now this kind of works out quite well for him here, because I'm doing so much damage to my ally Stalkers that really I should have, like, that kills the Stalker. That was me. And now we do nothing, we just wait. I got 2 guys coming up, he's got a couple of guys coming out. We've got a little bit of detection there as well, just seeing, as you can see, without that gold, the Zerg's going to be on one base. The Terran, however, he is like saturating, he's doing great. But anyway, we've got some more reinforcements down here now. We can move in, and I think this is something we really did need to like really push down on quite quickly, because this really pushes the Zerg back to 2 bases, even with those drones escaping. Again, you know, I've got to be careful with the siege tanks. They do so much damage to my allies. Got a Thor coming in there. He's doing long distance mining with the drones. So I assume he just didn't re-click, unless he's just thinking, okay, this is an opportunity to get some more minerals, you know, to stop him from getting those minerals. God, that Thor is taking damage. Like, and also my siege tanks end up getting quite a fair few kills. So thanks for that, guys. And he clocks on what's happening, and he's like, right, let's get the old spine crawler out of there. I think the Zerglings are thinking about going for a flank here, but they end up, I don't think they end up doing anything in the end. I can't believe that Thor survived. It took a couple hits, siege tanks, but it shows you they're tough. He and the Zerg must have forgotten something, because he's doing not just long distance mining, but he's doing long distance gas. Terran have got some real nice manufacturing up there. He's got like 4 barracks. He's building a couple of starports. I don't know what they are. I hear they're meant to build medivacs, but I've not unlocked that in my head yet. I hope to unlock it one day. But yeah, the Zergers kind of get pushed back. I don't know, again, if they attacked like a random corner base, they would be dangerous at that amount, but we've got relatively established armies, so they're kind of just taking a few hits, getting a bit weaker. They're not, yeah, as I said, you only need a lot more Zerglings, or you need to back them up with something tankier, which he's not, even some Banelings, but he doesn't really do that. So obviously the Terran's going to come down here, and you can see we're going to go for a bit of a... I just want to have a very quick look at the old amount they've got. Just having a cheeky look. Yeah, see, we're not that far ahead in supply. The supply is not crazy, really. Just thought it was worth checking. But okay, they're going to go and try and flank us after that. This is where I think the supply changes a lot because of that that Colossus even is going to do some damage to the Zerglings and the Marines. And I know they're very fragile, but backed up with siege tanks and Marines on my side and an immortal, or a couple of mortals, this did not go very well for him. And you can see the kill count on some of my siege tanks, they're getting really high now. So we kind of end up finding that I don't kill it. I think my allies like, could you finish that off, but I'll do it for you because you've been lazy. And that's what really changes the supply, I notice, going forward. And again, like, yeah, see if you look here, the supply has definitely changed a bit now, and that's put us in the lead. So that's something that I feel like is a bit of a turning point for this game. And if you look, I just don't have any production. I'm finally building another barracks. My third base is really barely existent. I've been way too much focusing on the front, and you know, compare it to his production, he's got so much more. But as I said, I think we got lucky in that recent fight. I like that he's got the macro hatch. I always think that's really cool when I see Zerg do that. He's still leaning to Zerglings, so I think at this point my allies are like, okay, I'm going to build another Colossus. I think they build a couple more. My Marine Siege doing great. My allies going for his third, and I haven't gone for my third yet, fourth even. He's still got mining that gas. He must have just forgot. But as you can see, we're kind of in a point now. We're all kind of playing a bit of catch up now. We're starting to rebuild what we'd lost. If I look back, you can see I'm building a factory, but my production's way too low. I'm finally building a starport this late into the game. 11 minutes in, I build my first starport. Amazing. But you know, I'm oversaturated on some of my minerals. On my second, I've not done very well for my economy. I've got a couple. Okay, I'm on 1-1 for my upgrades, but you can see I've really hyper focused on the fight. And again, if you look now at the supply, it's interesting to see that the supply's not that crazy actually. I really thought our supply would be way ahead and we'll be doing great, but I think I've hyper focused on the fight and not really done any of my macroing in the background, which again I think I'd be a bit better at now, but I do struggle with that sometimes when there's a lot going on. He's sticking with Thors, which I thought was interesting because I don't know, maybe they're great with siege tanks. If that's the case, great, but I didn't think they would be. I thought that would be more anti-air, and I just don't go into anti-air. I think he's coming down to see if I've built another base. Little do they know I'm barely silver, so I'm nowhere near building another base. I've only just putting up my fourth now, I think, so I really need to get more savvy with that. This fight again was a few months ago, I think, so hopefully a bit better now. Again, look, SCV is just doing nothing. Factory, oh, I'm building Thors, look, and I've built a medivac. Only like 14 minutes into the game, 13 and a bit. I like to go to Thors. I do like to transition to Thors eventually rather than just sitting on siege, which is good because he's built a lot of corruptors, which I can only assume he's going to go into brood because I've built no air. So they'll, you know, kill the Colossus great, but it must be a response to my Marines because I know that's going to be such a pain against Marines. Him leaving his army down there, see, we see that, and I think this is where we fall on that because he's left them really exposed. Yeah, see, I do a scan. He's left them so exposed now, and my ally is going to rush down there. And I think my medivac's keen. My medivac's ready for it, and he might be killed immediately. Yeah, he's dead. So that was a good use of my medivac. Oh, I've got a couple more. It's alright. You lose more. Lose one, two will replace. But again, if you look at the supply now, you can see blue Terrans and 197s are real high. That's going to drop down now after this fight. Kind of get a good no, don't really get a concave. Oh, over the battle we do, I stim a bit late, but those three Colossus I think take out a lot of the Marines, and then the Thors kind of just get picked off by the remaining Marines. Zerglings are trying to do a flank in the back, but I've got quite a lot of siege anyway. And those corruptors just don't do anything. There's no air really. and these 2 hero marines unfortunately get forgotten about and taken out. But I've still got half a dozen Thors. I'm doing fine. I've got loads of marines, and you can see that's definitely again changed the supply a bit more. Zerg supply is quite low, especially for Zerg. But the Terran's building his 5th, and I think Zerg's stuck on 2 unfortunately for them, which really makes life hard. It means the Terran's going to be doing a lot of work. But at this point I can just charge into him. I didn't even stim up. There we go, eventually stim. But he just doesn't have enough for the army. Once the siege tank's got up, look at that, 37 kills on a siege. Like, amazing, thank you, siege tank. And of course we just smash into one of his bases, and he's just gonna completely GG, which is fair. In his shoes I would be the same. And I imagine this must have been frustrating for Zerg, because in a minute he's now going to come in with his army. He's building a very late 3rd as well, very late 3rd. So Zerglings and old Broods. But yeah, it was a good 2v2 actually. I think obviously as you can see here with my management, I got a random Thor there doing nothing. I didn't build enough production. I was late to building my 4th. My Protoss ally, as usual, probably carried me to a degree. He's doing quite well. Look, he's building another base up there. Although he's got his probes sitting around there, but we had a lot of fighting early on. So yeah, it was a good game. I'm, like I said, quite happy with it overall. I got a bit lucky. This bit's quite a nice little fight, although you'll see here the Broods really come and start chewing up my marines. But yeah, overall good game. As I said, I got a bit lucky in some of them. I need to do better economy management for sure. But thanks for watching this 2v2. Hopefully people keep watching. Do subscribe if you enjoy it. I'm going to keep posting them even if people don't. I'm going to keep putting out some more 2v2s. So thanks very much. Until the next video.